Hello, I'm Mark Andrews, General Manager of Remco. Today we're going to give you an overview of the TSB 3100T machine, its features as well as its operation. We'll be building a roller to demonstrate its features. The TSB machine consists of two major components. First, we have the TSB 3100T applicator extruder, which is this portion here. The other major portion is the spin station. The spin station is an SS250T. It has a 50-inch diameter capacity and in this case a 180-inch length capacity. In order to utilize the TSB 3100T to build a roller, there are two movements. The spindle turns and the applicator extruder platform traverses along the face of the roller. Right now we're going to set the extruder in the proper position for the beginning of the build. Another step in preparation for building is to move the extruder head, applicator head, in against the roller face. To do this, we extend the applicator and the extruder moves forward until the head engages the roll surface. Next, we zero the count on the gauge thickness indicator. The TSB 3100T extruder includes a 3-inch barrel and screw and a 40-horse motor drive for the screw. The electrical controls are all contained in this panel, and I'll go through them to acquaint you with them. This digital display shows, among other things, the speed and amperage of the screw motor. The motor itself is turned on and off by means of this push button. This dial sets the screw speed from 0 to 100%. This selector switch selects what the dancer controls. With the selector in this position, it controls the screw speed. With the selector in this position, the speed of the extruder is set manually with this knob. And with the selector in this position, the dancer controls the spindle speed, or the rotational speed of the roller. This is the power on switch for the extruder itself. Power on, power off. When the power is on, it's indicated by this illuminated light. The temperature of the extruder is set by means of these digital controls. This control, which we've already preset for 160 degrees, controls the barrel temperature. In this case, this extruder contains two die heads, die head number 1 and die head number 2. These have been preset as well. The output temperature of the strip coming out of the die head is indicated here. It is not controlled, it's simply indicated. This is the emergency stop button. The extruder travers is controlled by this set point controller. There are two set points that can be set. Set point number 1 and set point number 2. These two set points can be selected at any time during the build by use of this selector, set point number 2 or set point number 1. This selector selects movement either of the extruder or of the extruder platform. In this position, the extruder platform moves parallel to the face of the roller. In this position, the extruder moves in and out perpendicular to the roller face. This is the dancer control. It controls either the screw speed, which determines how fast the rubber comes out of the die head, or it controls the spindle speed, the rate at which the roller turns. In the extruder mode, as the dancer arm raises, the screw speed increases. And as it drops, the extruder speed decreases. In spin control mode, when the dancer arm drops, the spindle speed increases. And as the arm raises, the spindle speed decreases. The applicator head is controlled by means of a pneumatic cylinder. The application pressure is controlled by two regulators, the low pressure build regulator and the high pressure build regulator. You can switch between the two by means of this selector switch. You can adjust the pressure, in this case on the high build to 50 psi and on the low build to 20 psi. The rubber strip is extruded through the extruder die head. The area of the strip is controlled by the die block, which is here. This extruder has two swing heads, and therefore two die heads. This is die head and swing head number 1, and die head and swing head number 2. Either of them can be used, and when one is not being utilized, it can be cleaned out. This is a representative sample of the die block, which is in the die head. It has two openings, a larger one and a smaller one, which the machine operator can select depending on the type of application and the type of rubber that's being used for best results. While the thickness of the strip is determined by the die block opening selected, the width of the strip is determined by this V-gate, which can be adjusted up and down to change the width. In the second half of this video, we're going to show you how to build a rubber roller. Brian Myers, our service manager and field service technician, is going to actually operate the machine and build a roller for demonstration.
We want to first establish the diameter of the roll. In this case, it's approximately 15.5 inches. We're going to be applying about 1.5 inches material, which will put us at about 19.5 inches total. First one is 0, my diameter indicator. Once that's been done, I have a reference point for my build size. At this point, we're ready to set up the rest of the parameters and begin building the roll. To begin feeding the strip, we want to put the extruder in manual mode. Start it up using the manual speed pot, and then begin feeding the material. Before we close the die head, we want to select the screen that we're going to be using. Today it's a 12 by 64 Dutch weave. To set it up, you simply put it in the strainer plate and then put it in the die head. Now that the screen and the strainer plate have been installed, you can close the door. Tighten your swing bolts, and we're ready to go. When tightening the 4 bolts, you need to be careful that all 4 bolts are tightened equally. This will help prevent any leakage between the barrel and the head. Now that your die head is closed and tightened, you want to check your settings, make sure that everything is heated up and ready to go. In this case, our barrel and our head are both up to temperature. We want to leave the extruder in manual mode for a second. Switch the applicator over to automatic or build mode. We'll put the travers selector in travers mode. Put our extruder in dancer mode. Sure that it's on. And now we're ready to begin the build. The next step, we want to engage the spindle. In this case, it's going clockwise. Turn the spindle speed up to about 15 RPM and then begin extruding the strip. Before we begin building, we want to ensure that we have a good clean strip, no contamination, rough edges. Once we ensure that, we're ready to run it through the applicator pulleys and begin the build. The extruded rubber strip runs over the first idler roll, under the dancer arm, under the second idler roll, over the tension roller, and under the 2 applicator rolls. Pressure is applied. We allow the material to build up for a few rotations. We engage the travers and then apply high pressure. The tension applicator roll can be used to add tension to the rubber strip, thus making a tighter bond to the surface of the roll. That's done by adjusting these knobs here. The infrared heat sensor constantly monitors the material temperature and is displayed up here on the control panel. For this application, we're building bidirectional. To do that, we'll simply wait until the material wall is at the edge of the roll. We're going to put our travers in neutral while keeping the spin running. We're going to drop our air pressure, allow the material to build for a couple of revolutions, re-engage our travers going the opposite direction, and then reapply our high air pressure. Any scrap material that you may come by while building the roll can simply be fed back into the extruder, and thus eliminating any excess waste. For our last pass, we're going to put a thinner layer of rubber on the roll. To do that, we adjust our set point to a higher number. To do that, we simply scroll to set point number 2. Select the number, the digit that we would like to change. In this point, we're changing it from 200 to 400. And then press enter. So as you can see now, we have a wider overlap, which puts on a thinner strip, which directly relates to our increased set point. Once we reach the end of the roll, we're simply going to break the strip. Put our joystick in neutral and retract the applicator head. This will cause the dancer arm to drop and the extruder to shut off. Once we've finished building the roll, we're ready to wrap it with tape. In this case, we're using a 2-inch nylon. Once you've applied the roll, take the tape, go over the 2 applicator bars, back under in a figure 8 pattern, then across the face of the tension roll. From there you go underneath the spreader roll and up to your finished roller. For this application, we're actually going to use the tape as an end dam. Alright, now that we're done finished with the roll building, it's time to clean the rubber out of the extruder. To do that, we're going to open up the swing head. Put my extruder in manual mode, and now I can use it to push my door open. The die head comes out. And then we simply run the rest of the material out of the barrel. This remaining rubber can be reused on the next build. Next, we want to clean the head. Pull out any excess rubber that might be stuck in the back. We can then disassemble the die head and clean up the die block and V-gate. We can now remove the screen and check it for any contamination that it might have caught. As you can see, it did catch a little bit of contamination here, which means the screen was doing its job. At this point, we're ready to take the roll out of the spin station. To do that, we want to turn the control power off, which enables our tailstock. Once you've loosened your 4 tailstock lockdowns, you're now ready to back the tailstock up. To do that, you push both buttons simultaneously.